Right now on Morning News Now, new details in that attack that killed 3 American soldiers in Jordan. Why Pentagon officials believe the attack drone was not immediately recognized as a threat. Plus, new information on the UN workers accused of being part of the October 7th Hamas terror attack. And what we're learning about a potential new hostage deal. Also this morning, new developments in the House Republican push to impeach the Secretary of Homeland Security as President Biden and former President Trump clash over a possible bipartisan deal in the Senate that sits in limbo. Plus, extremely online, Elon Musk says his startup has implanted a device in its first human that could allow them to control their phone just by thinking. What we've learned about the procedure, its results, and why Musk says the technology could change lives. And caught on camera, a woman forced to cling to a moving car in Los Angeles while the driver tries to throw her off. There was just a little peek of what was inside that made her so desperate to stop the vehicle. We'll tell you what she's saying about the terrifying experience.
I haven't seen the story yet, but I guess police advise against doing that, though. It's tough when there's precious cargo inside.
I would assume. What a video. My goodness.
Kidding.
Wow.
All right. Good morning. Good to have you with us. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. We're going to get started this morning with that drone attack in Jordan that killed 3 U.S. soldiers and injured dozens more as the war between Israel and Hamas continues to reverberate throughout the Middle East.
This morning, NBC News is learning new details about how the incident may have unfolded. One of the theories mentioned by Pentagon officials is that the attack drone was not recognized as a threat by defense systems that were in place because it flew in at the same time as a U.S. drone. The other theory is that it was flying too low to be spotted. The Department of Defense has revealed the identities of the 3 soldiers killed in the attack. In his first public event since being hospitalized, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin expressed condolences for their deaths.
Let me start with my outrage and sorrow for the death of 3 brave U.S. troops in Jordan and for the other troops who were wounded. The President and I will not tolerate attack on U.S. forces, and we will take all necessary actions to defend the U.S. and our troops.
In a few moments, we're going to hear from senior fellow and military expert at Defense Priorities and host of Daniel Davis Deep Dive on YouTube, retired Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis. But let's begin with NBC News White House correspondent Monica Alba. So, Monica, we now know the identities of the 3 soldiers who were killed in this attack. What can you tell us about them?
Yeah, we are learning more details about these 3 service members, Joe and Savannah. We know the 3 of them were from an Army Reserve unit based out of Georgia. I can tell you their names: Sergeant William Jerome Rivers, Specialist Kennedy LaDon Sanders, and Specialist Brianna Alexandria Moffett. And we are learning just a little bit more information about some of the injuries here as well, because in addition to these 3 lives that were tragically lost, initially we thought there were something like 30 troops in addition who were injured. That number has gone up to about 40, and several of them were critically injured, we understand. And the big question always with attacks like this is whether there are traumatic brain injuries and things like that, that they still need to transfer some troops to other locations and facilities to try to see more information as they continue to recover.
Monica, just a second ago, we mentioned this theory being touted by Pentagon officials about how this attack may have even happened, how this drone went essentially undetected. What more can you tell us about that, and any other preliminary details being shared about what exactly happened?
Yeah, the Pentagon is still working through some of this information, and they do say that the air defense capabilities for the facility where these troops were stationed was working. But what seems to have happened is it's possible that the attack drone was mistaken for an American drone that was returning to what's known as Tower 22, that facility you're seeing on your screen there. And so that could have been a possible mix-up, or by the time they realized that it wasn't an American asset, it was too late. There's another theory potentially here as well, that it was flying so low that it was difficult to detect it at the time that they needed to. And that is why, and this really happened while troops were sleeping still in their beds. They had no idea really, or any warning, of course, that this was coming.
So, Monica, do we have any more clarity on what kind of response the Biden administration is considering to this attack?
We know that they are weighing a lot of different options. And this is always a situation where the U.S. doesn't want to give any kind of an advance warning or hint as to what it will be. But the president was very clear that there will be a response. And we know that likely it's something that could be something that includes multiple phases. It's something that could be, online or in cyberspace, in addition to something that's more kinetic in terms of any kind of counterstrike. It's something that could take some time as well. Here's a little more from the White House on the range of options, while they don't want to say too much at this point.
There's no easy answer here. And that's why the president is meeting with his national security team, weighing the options before him. We are not looking for a war with Iran. We are not seeking a conflict with the regime in a military way. And as I said in the opening, we're not looking to escalate here. This attack over the weekend was escalatory. Make no mistake about it. And it requires a response.
So the U.S. does know that, of course, this attack was perpetrated by Iranian-backed militia proxy groups, in effect. But the U.S. said yesterday, when pressed on this at the White House, that it doesn't seem that there are going to be actual attacks and retaliation inside of Iran. That doesn't seem to be something that right now is the plan, because, of course, that would likely widen this conflict and this war. So we're talking about likely something else in the region, though. We all know, as you're going to discuss, there are also this potential talks for a hostage deal and everything else that's going on with the Israel-Hamas war. So all of that has to be taken into context when making these critical decisions. Joe and Savannah.
We'll get into more on that in just a second. Monica Alba, thank you so much.
Yes, thanks, Monica. Let's now bring in Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis. Good to have you with us this morning, as always. So as we mentioned, these different theories cited by Pentagon officials about how this potentially happened, one of which being that the drone was not recognized because it came in at the same time as this U.S. drone. How easy is it to misidentify these drones? Do these Iranian-backed groups have drones with similar capabilities to those of the United States where it could be confusing?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's important to understand that the air defense capacity of these really tiny little outposts that we have scattered throughout Iraq and Syria is not anywhere near like what you see with the, some of these Patriot anti-aircraft systems that cover bases, large bases like Bagram in Afghanistan back in the day, those kinds of things. So it's a lot less capable. But it is supposed to be, to handle small scale things like rockets, the small scale rockets, and certainly drones. But, if the enemy is able to, figure out how we operate, what they call TTPs, tactics, techniques, and procedures, and they watch enough and they reconnaissance the target enough, they can see, like for example, if that drone comes in at a certain time every day, or if it comes in at a certain path, then they can say, hey, let's try to mimic that and come in there. Because, look, let's don't underestimate the enemy. They're very bright and they're very smart, and they can figure out ways to defeat our sources. And as this was the 165th, I think they said, attack, they've got a lot of experience of finding out what doesn't work.
So we don't yet know how the Biden administration is going to respond, but we do know is that it's not looking for war with Iran. But we have seen calls from Republicans like Senator Lindsey Graham to attack Tehran. Just how do you think the U.S. is going to respond here?
Yeah, I think that Biden is going to be very, he's going to try to thread the needle, so to speak. He can't just launch another pinprick attack, because none of the ones that we've launched since October have had any deterrent effect, whether it's in the Red Sea or those against our troops in the Middle East there. So he's got to go with something bigger. But look, we need to be sober about this. This is not going to stop. If he goes with a large target array, if he has this over multiple days, which many sources I'm hearing tell me that's the likely outcome, then that's still not going to change anything. It's still going to leave our troops at risk, and the threat to them is going to remain high, which is why I say the smartest thing to do is to withdraw our troops from there and get them from those isolated places where they don't have as much defense to larger areas where they do have a lot more defense, which will not negate our security at all, which won't limit our options for security throughout the region, but it will limit our vulnerability. And I think that is key to doing.
We've talked so much since this conflict began about the concern of it broadening and certainly the concern of the U.S. being dragged in a more material way. Did this escalate it enough, or this could be an event where we really start to see that?
Without question, we are on the edge. And certainly President Biden is coming under enormous pressure to strike inside of Iran. There are so many people who have been really angry about this, whether it's retired generals, it's members of Congress that are really pressing to do this and trying to say, oh, Biden's weak if he doesn't do this. Biden has to do what's smart and wise, not what's emotionally satisfying in the moment, because American troops have been killed. So there is a lot of requirement for the president to defend us. And so he must go after the people that physically did this, whether that's Kataib Hezbollah in Iraq or this is Islamic resistance group that took responsibility. He does have to take them out, but he cannot do it in such a way that expands the war, and especially if that includes Iran, and that just makes it very difficult.
All right, Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis, thank you so much.
This morning, we're learning new details surrounding a possible deal to secure the release of hostages in Gaza. It comes as new allegations surface about the October 7th Hamas terror attack on Israel and intelligence alleging that some UN relief workers were involved. NBC News Chief Foreign Affairs Correspondent Andrea Mitchell has the details.
Stunning allegations that at least 12 UN employees helped carry out the October 7th Hamas terror attacks. 2 Israeli intelligence dossiers reviewed by NBC News accusing some staff of the UN Relief and Works Agency, including an elementary school teacher and a social worker, of kidnapping hostages and procuring weapons for Hamas. One dossier alleging 10% of the agency's staff belong to Hamas or Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and linking half of its 12,000 employees to the terror groups. NBC News has not confirmed the allegations. The UN fired the accused employees, and the U.S. and others stopped sending money to the agency pending an investigation. I asked Qatar's prime minister about Israel's allegations.
It cannot be punished because of the act of some employees as long as they are complying with their...
including kidnapping a woman, according to the allegation?
We don't know about the allegation yet until the investigation come out yet.
Meanwhile, we've learned details about a proposed new hostage deal spy chiefs from the U.S., Egypt, Qatar, and Israel agreed to this weekend. It calls for a halt in fighting for 60 days, the release of all civilian hostages, women first, in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. After a month, Hamas would release women IDF soldiers, then male IDF soldiers, as Israel releases the rest of the Palestinian prisoners, thousands of them.
Good progress made to get things back in shape and to at least to lay a foundation. We don't know and we cannot predict what Hamas' response will be.
Also, they are parents of American hostages, including 19-year-old Itay Khan.
The hostages cannot be collateral damage. They need to come out. Then you could do whatever you want.
Our thanks to Andrea Mitchell for that report. Secretary of State Antony Blinken called the proposed hostage deal strong and compelling, while Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu's spokesman says nothing has been agreed to.
Well, Attorney General Merrick Garland will undergo surgery this weekend, according to a Justice Department spokesperson. Garland, who is 71 years old, will transfer power to Deputy Attorney General Lisa Monaco during the procedure and as he recovers from anesthesia. He's expected to return to work the following week. The surgery is to treat spinal stenosis. That's a narrowing of spaces in the vertebrae. Garland is intentionally giving public notice before the surgery in the wake of the criticism that Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin drew after failing to disclose his hospitalization for prostate cancer surgery.
Later today, members of the Republican-led House Homeland Security Committee are meeting. They're considering the proposed articles of impeachment against Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas.
On Monday, Democratic House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries called it a political stunt and a hit job. It comes after months of consistent criticism from the GOP towards Mayorkas' border policies. They say that Mayorkas failed to uphold the law and has breached the public's trust.
NBC News congressional correspondent Julie Sirkin joins us now with the latest on this. So, Julie, explain to us how this is going to play out in the committee today.
Well, this is going to be the first time in 150 years where a cabinet official is staring down the possibility of being impeached by the House. That's what Republicans on the House Homeland Security Committee plan to do to Alejandro Mayorkas, the border chief for the administration this morning, getting in the room at around 10 a.m. in a hearing that could last several hours. They're going to mark up these 2 articles you just saw on your screen. If that is approved out of the committee, which the chairman, Mark Green, thinks they will be, that then goes to the full House for a vote. That vote has not yet been set, but the earliest we could see it happen, guys, is next week. The question is for Speaker Mike Johnson and his leadership team, do they have the votes to even make this happen? There are a handful of Republicans who have previously said they're not sure if they want to go down this route. They're not sure if Mayorkas's actions qualify being impeached. But if the House does approve this and sends it over to the Senate, that's controlled by Democrats, and more than certainly they're going to acquit Mayorkas at the end. So really, this is a political proceeding for Republicans in the House.
Julie, a deal to restrict migrants from crossing the border into the U.S. also remains in limbo this morning. How are Democrats responding to that fact, as well as you say, what could unfold here should he be impeached, what that means that they're going to do?
Well, this is super interesting because not only is Mayorkas being impeached by House Republicans, but he is the very person the administration had put in the room with those bipartisan Senate negotiators to try and fix the problems at the border that Republicans are impeaching Mayorkas for. So this is really a political pretzel that Republicans have put themselves in. Democrats, though, grasping at this. You played a little bit. You referenced what Jeffries, the Democratic leader, had said in the beginning. He called this a hit job. He called this a political stunt. Those are words being echoed by other Democrats, including Benny Thompson, the ranking member on the Homeland Security Committee. They think this is nothing more than a political stunt. Mayorkas himself, though, responding to these impeachment proceedings this morning in a statement to Mark Green, the chairman of the committee, saying in part, quote, "Whatever proceedings you initiate, however baseless, my responsiveness to oversight requests will not waver. I assure you that your false accusations do not rattle me and do not divert me from law enforcement and broader public service to which I remain devoted."
So let's look at what we saw in the New Hampshire primary. We saw 30% of Republican voters viewing immigration as the biggest issue in America. It's a big issue for Republicans. It's a big issue for former President Trump, which seems to be impacting some of these negotiations. So with that in mind, where do the negotiations stand on the deal? What are some of the obstacles in the way of getting that deal done?
Well, certainly Trump is a big obstacle, not one that they didn't expect, though. Negotiators wanted to finish this process up at the end of last year for a reason, because the second you get into an election year, you have Trump on the campaign trail railing against this deal. He doesn't want it done. He sees, of course, the border issue as one of his top political jabs that he can throw against President Biden, who he's likely to face in November at the ballot box. And so, of course, Trump is a big factor. Speaker Johnson is certainly listening to him. The hardline Republicans in the House are too, but that doesn't mean the Senate is not going to move forward. In fact, we have some new reporting this morning with my colleagues on what's in this proposal. They are really getting down to the finish line to give Biden and any future administration new enforcement mechanisms at the border, some really conservative border measures that Republicans have called for years and years. So we'll see if the Senate can get it out this week. We'll see if they can vote on it. And then Speaker Johnson certainly has a big decision to make.
All right. Julie Sirkin, thank you so much.
Well, the former IRS contractor who leaked the tax records of former President Trump, Jeff Bezos, and Elon Musk to the media has been sentenced to 5 years in prison, and he must pay a $5,000 fine.
Last October, Charles Littlejohn pleaded guilty to one count of disclosure of tax return and return information. Prosecutors say Littlejohn abused his position within the IRS by disclosing thousands of wealthy Americans' federal tax returns. They say he, quote, weaponized his access to unmasked taxpayer data to further his personal political agenda.
Over the weekend, a cyber attack hit government servers in Fulton County, Georgia, impacting the office of District Attorney Fani Willis, who is prosecuting the Georgia election interference case against former President Trump. NBC News senior national politics reporter Jonathan Allen is here with the latest for us. John, good morning. Great to have you with us. So tell us what happened here. How big of an impact did the cyber attack have there, as well as throughout the whole county?
Yeah, good morning, Dream Team. We don't know a ton about this cyber attack, in part because officials are still, I think, trying to figure out what happened. Certainly, they have not said everything that they might say about what happened. It is not clear entirely whether this case against Donald Trump is affected in any way. What authorities in Georgia are saying, according to our colleague Blaine Alexander, who did great reporting here, is that they are not aware at this point of any sensitive information about citizens that has been compromised, and Fani Willis's office has not said anything at all. They're declining to comment. So I think we may have to just take a breath here and pause and see what comes out of all the searches that they're doing to make sure that nothing was retrieved or misappropriated.
To be clear, John, you are a third of the dream team. All right, let's talk about the state of the race here. Former President Trump held rallies in Las Vegas ahead of the next caucus. That one's just a week away. Tell us what he's focusing now that the Republican field is narrowing. It's one-on-one, basically, with him and Nikki Haley, and also now that President Biden is ramping up his campaign efforts.
You know, for the entirety of this campaign, Donald Trump has been trying to pivot to a race against Joe Biden for two reasons. Number one, to try to actually get a jump on that because Biden doesn't have, competition that's likely to defeat him, but also to try to signal to Republican voters and Republican donors and others that they should stop helping other candidates. At the moment, Trump is focused on beating the heck out of Nikki Haley in her home state of South Carolina, trying to wrap up the nomination, not just be sort of the shadow presumptive nominee, but actually move into that phase where he can compete in the general election.
And John, let's talk about the latest with Nikki Haley. She's raised $4 million since last week's New Hampshire primary, where she finished second and said she was going to hang in there. Of course, the race has now turned to her home state, South Carolina. And it kind of sounds like she's starting to temper expectations in that primary that'll happen next month. What's her message been?
Yeah, her message is that she could continue to come in second place and somehow win the nomination. And that's at odds with reality. What she keeps saying is, that basically she just needs a good performance in South Carolina. When she's asked, Kristen Welker on Meet the Press this past weekend asked her to name a state basically where she could win, and she didn't do that. That's not a good sign for the Haley campaign. The money that you mentioned is a good sign for her. It means that she's continuing to have money to make the plane fly, as they say, and to continue to be able to campaign. But it's also not a jaw-dropping amount of money. You say $4 million in a week. That's good enough to keep campaigning, but the top campaigns would be drawing $1 million a day at this point.
All right, John, thanks so much for joining us again this morning. We appreciate it. Convicted murderer Alec Murdoch won't get a new trial. Yesterday, a judge in South Carolina denied the disgraced attorney's request for a retrial. His lawyer had argued that court clerk Becky Hill tampered with the jury and tainted the verdict. Hill denied those allegations. The judge heard from Hill and all 12 jurors in the trial before issuing her ruling in the one-day hearing. She found that while Hill was, quote, not completely credible as a witness, that the jurors were not persuaded by her actions. Murdoch is currently serving 2 life sentences for the murders of his wife and youngest son.
Coming up, we have a royal wellness check for you. King Charles and Princess Kate are back at home after separate medical procedures, what we've learned about their recovery and when they could return to public duty.
But first, linked up, it may sound like science fiction, but Elon Musk says his tech startup that will let people control their phone just by thinking has just completed implanting its first device in a human. That story next.
We are back with a major announcement from Elon Musk's brain science startup company. It's called Neuralink. Musk says the company recently implanted a device in its first human. He made the announcement yesterday on X, saying the patient received an implant and is recovering well. Musk didn't give any details about the procedure or the implant, but he said initial results are promising. Now, there's no independent confirmation of Neuralink's progress, but if successful, Musk says this could be a step toward a product that would allow people to control devices just by thinking. One of Neuralink's competitors, Precision Neuroscience, implanted its device in a human for the first time last year.
Never want to be that close to my phone.
There we go.
All right, the Princess of Wales, Kate Middleton, and King Charles are at home now, recovering after both were released from the hospital yesterday.
It's been nearly 2 weeks since the princess had a planned abdominal surgery and just a few days since the king was treated for an enlarged prostate. Kensington Palace released a statement following the princess's release saying, quote, the Princess of Wales has returned home to Windsor to continue her recovery from surgery. She is making good progress.
Joining us now is NBC News royal commentator and Talk TV presenter Daisy McAndrew. Good to have you with us, Daisy. So let's start with the princess. Is the palace releasing any new details about the type of surgery she had or just any more on how she's doing this morning?
For the moment, they're staying pretty tight-lipped about exactly what that surgery was. Of course, we've been able to work out a bit of it in that the fact that she stayed in for nearly 2 weeks in hospital. That is a considerably long time. Most surgeries, particularly for a young and fit woman like Kate, these days you'd be in and out of hospital in just a few days, certainly less than a week. So we can ascertain that it was something quite major. But other than that, they're not saying. Personally, I suspect that when Kate is finally back on her feet and back resuming royal duties, that she might then decide to talk more publicly about what it was she had, particularly if there's an element that she might be able to help other people suffering with whatever it is that she's been going through. But for now, it's just concentrating for that family on getting her back to fighting fitness.
And do we know when that might be that we do see Kate return to public duties? And tell us also about Prince William now that Kate is settled at home, what he'll be doing.
Absolutely. So obviously, William has been holding the fort while Kate's been in hospital for the last 2 weeks. We haven't seen him going in and out of hospital to visit her very frequently. Of course, that doesn't mean that he didn't do that, because there are other ways of getting into the hospital without the photographers and paparazzi seeing you. So he was only spotted going in once, but he made it very plain that his duties and his responsibilities were going to be fully focused on their 3 young children whilst Kate was away from home. When she did go home, which of course we know was yesterday, he then did say he wouldn't be going straight back to public duties, but he would want to make sure that she was okay at home without him before he went back to work, as it were. And I think in some ways this is quite a sweet reminder that they do want to be a much more modern royal family, albeit William is next in line to the throne and Kate will be the Queen one day. But they have made great emphasis in the past few years that they want to be as normal as possible in their sort of parenting duties. And I think this shows that.
We know a little more about King Charles and what he was treated for. How's he doing this morning? When will he return to his duties?
I think he'll be back on his feet and back in the public eye much quicker than Kate. And very interesting that he has taken a different stance on what was going on with him. Now, of course, having an enlarged prostate when you're a man in your mid-70s is very common. Experts here say it probably will affect 70, 80, even 90% of people his age. And Charles was very clear that he wanted to come out about what was going on with him in order to encourage other men, because I'm sure it's probably the same in the United States, but certainly here in the UK, men, particularly of a certain generation, are a bit queasy, are a bit embarrassed about talking about something which really is very common. And most importantly, if you don't get it checked out, you can miss the signs of it being cancerous and so on. So there was a real public health initiative that Charles was trying to grapple with the fact that he was going public, and that has worked. In fact, people going on to our National Health Service website to get themselves checked out for prostate problems, that's gone up by about 300%. So he's really done a good thing.
It had an impact. Good to hear that. Daisy McAndrew, thank you for joining us this morning. Appreciate it.
Let's stay on some international headlines. Pope Francis is addressing criticism over authorizing priests to bless same-sex couples.
NBC's Claudio Lavanga joins us from Rome with that and other world headlines. Claudio, good morning.
Joe, Savannah, good morning. Well, that's right. The announcement by the Catholic Church that from now on, same-sex couples will also be allowed to receive blessings was received with some criticism and a lot of controversy, especially among some African bishops. So the Pope was asked about that in an interview published on La Stampa newspapers on Monday here. And he said that, and I quote, Africans were a special case because for them, homosexuality is something bad from a cultural point of view, but also that he was confident that, except for Africans, critics of his decision would eventually understand it. Let's now go to Peru, where thousands of tourists were left stranded after protesters blocked access to Machu Picchu. Train services to the ancient ruins have been suspended since Saturday after locals demonstrating over a new ticketing system blocked the railway line. Protesters fear that a new electronic ticket sales platform will hurt local businesses by privatizing sales and directing profits to one single firm. As a consequence, tourists who flock to the World Heritage Site from all over the world are currently unable to reach it. And let's end this tour of the world, well, in the ice skating rink. According to the Associated Press, the U.S. Olympic figure skating team were told they will receive the Olympic gold medal 2 years after they won silver at the Winter Games in Beijing. Russian skater Kamila Valieva won gold in 2022, but 6 weeks later she tested positive for doping. According to AP, the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee received word that as a consequence, the IOC will award the gold to the U.S. team instead. Well, it's never too late to celebrate. Back to you guys.
Yeah. It's been a long wait, my goodness.
Claudio, thank you.
Let's get a closer look at your morning News Now weather forecast.
Angie Lastman is with us in studio this morning. Angie, good morning.
Good morning, guys. We've got another storm system that we're tracking out west, and we've got one little tiny kind of clipper system that's working across the Great Lakes. It's going to leave us with some slick spots across the Midwest and Great Lakes, and eventually move a little farther to the east as the day goes on. But out west is where we already have these flood alerts. We have plenty of winter storm watches that are in effect, stretching across parts of California and points east of that. But where you see that brighter green, that's the flood watch. We've got 11 million people impacted by these alerts as we gear up for another system that's going to work in and leave us with some really heavy rainfall. Today, mostly parts of the Pacific Northwest will deal with some of these off and on showers. But as we get into the overnight hours, California especially going to be hit by some of this really heavy rain. This is a look into tomorrow. You can see Northern California basically where the bullseye is for the heaviest of that rain, but it extends from the Bay Area all the way up to Eureka, and we'll see that risk of flooding not just tomorrow, but into Thursday as well. We'll start to see some of that snow falling as well as the system works a little farther to the east, mainly focused over the Sierra Nevada range, and we'll also see some high winds with that, so travel will be difficult across that region. We'll pick up a good amount of rain in a short period of time here over the next couple of days. Isolated spots could be up to 6 inches. We'll see more widespread amounts, anywhere from 1 inch to 3 inches, but we of course know that it doesn't take much to see flooding concerns across this region with rain falling in a short period of time. And how about some snow? We will expect anywhere from 1 foot to 3 feet in some of those higher elevations across the mountains, but otherwise about 1 inch to 2 inches in more widespread areas. Temperature-wise, we are looking like spring, guys. We've got temperatures into the 50s in Salt Lake City today, mid-60s for Denver. These temperatures running 10, 15, even 20 degrees above normal. Minneapolis will be into the low 40s this afternoon. And that warmth sticks with us as we get into tomorrow. 70s for Oklahoma City, mid-50s for Omaha. Chicago will hit 45 degrees. We'll start to see things turn a little cooler as we get into the later parts of the work week and into early portions of the weekend, but still 40s for Cleveland on Thursday, back down to the 30s on Friday and Saturday. Washington, D.C., though, will stick into those 50s through the end of the work week and into the weekend, and New York ends up into the low 40s by the time Saturday rolls around, guys. But I don't think anyone's complaining when they see 70s in late January in parts of the middle of the country over the next couple of days.
Minneapolis, 33 degrees above normal. Wow.
Yes. And still only into the 40s.
It's still cold. All right.
Still cold.
Thanks, Angie. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Coming up, truly terrifying moments caught on camera.
One woman says she had no choice but to cling to the hood of a speeding car. You can see there some precious cargo she told police was stolen. That's up next.
Welcome back. Imagine seeing this. A woman in downtown Los Angeles was seen on camera desperately trying to stop the people who had just stolen her car. And she says it's all because of what, or perhaps more appropriately, who was inside. NBC News correspondent Liz Croyd showed us how she tried to catch a thief.
It's a shocking video. A woman clinging to the hood of a car as thieves speed off with her 1-year-old French bulldog.
I said, this is it. This is how I'm going to die.
Ali Zacharias miraculously survived, saying she fell off 2 blocks later as she watched the Dognappers drive away with little Onyx.
We're eating right here.
Outside the Whole Foods in downtown Los Angeles, where the terrifying incident unfolded, Zacharias described to us the moments a woman stole him and ran to a getaway car.
My only recourse was to stop the car, so I stood in front of the car and I put my hands out and I said, stop. I said, do not go. And I didn't think that they'd drive into a human. The next thing I know, they drove into me and banged me and till I fell on the hood.
This all happened right here at this intersection, and it's part of a disturbing trend. These prized French bulldogs snatched from their owners, often then sold on the black market. In 2021, Lady Gaga's 2 Frenchies were taken after shooting her dog walker. The dogs found after she offered a $500,000 reward for their safe return. And just last November, thieves stole a dozen puppies worth $100,000 from an LA pet store. French Bulldogs, the #1 dog breed in America, cost between $3,000 to $9,000, some even more.
Were you aware that people often target these dogs when you got?
Yes, but I never thought it would be me. I never thought that this would be my situation.
Onyx now a statistic, with Zacharias still praying he'll be returned. Liz Kreutz, NBC News, Los Angeles.
We're back now with a mystery in Kansas. Police are searching for answers after a statue of baseball icon Jackie Robinson was stolen. NBC News correspondent Morgan Chesky explains why this missing tribute to the Hall of Famer is much bigger than the game.
It's the crime scene reduced to nothing but a pair of bronze cleats, a brazen theft at a public park. That for many in Wichita, Kansas, is personal.
I was appalled, and then once I saw the photos, I was angry.
Angry over how someone could steal a life-size statue of Jackie Robinson, the first black baseball player to play in the major leagues. His tribute unveiled not even 3 years ago.
I can tell you that we will not stop in our pursuit of the people that stole this from our community.
The crime caught on surveillance video early last Thursday.
They just cut that beautiful statue off at the feet and loaded it into a pickup truck.
Police have since found that very truck, but till NBC News, no sign of the suspects or known motive. The disappearance hitting Wichita's League 42, named in honor of Robinson, especially hard.
This was much more than just a statue here.
This park is in a place that's surrounded by low-income community, historically redlined, and a place that is a point of pride for many of us who grew up in Wichita.
Pride now pouring in through donations, hoping to replace the $75,000 statue if it's never recovered.
I love that the community is behind this and wants to see some restoration to the statue.
We're determined to bring that back. We won't allow the folks who committed this crime, again, no matter their motivation, to take that away from us.
A hero's legacy, standing tall, no matter what. Morgan Chesky, NBC News.
Let's get you some financial headlines now. Boeing is withdrawing its request for a safety exemption for its 737 MAX 7.
CNBC's Silvana Henao joins us with that and other money headlines. Silvana, good morning.
Joe, Savannah, good morning to you. Yes, so Boeing has withdrawn its request after Senator Tammy Duckworth said it would prematurely allow the 737 MAX 7 jet to be certified to carry passengers. Now, last year, the FAA determined a design flaw in the MAX 7's engine de-icing system could be dangerous to passengers. This now means the MAX 7 will be significantly delayed until Boeing can come up with a fix for the flaw and get FAA approval. This comes as the company faces intense political pressure following the blowout of a door plug on a MAX 9 plane. American Airlines is cutting more than 650 workers in Dallas, Fort Worth, and in Phoenix who are part of its service recovery teams. Now, they work to resolve passenger issues such as lost luggage and other complaints. A spokesperson says the airline had been bouncing passengers from group to group instead of resolving the problem right away. So, to streamline operations, American is creating a customer success team. Workers impacted by the cuts will be given first dibs at jobs on the new team. And Walmart is testing digital labels that light up with an app to help customers find items on store shelves. Bloomberg reports they're already being used by employees at a few dozen locations. The lights flash green to help shelf stockers and blue for pickers fulfilling online orders. Walmart will launch the pilot program for customers later this year. It's possible they won't need the lights as longtime shoppers typically know where items are stocked. And the Walmart app already directs people to the right aisle. I get lost everywhere all the time. I'm always just roaming aisles until I find things, no matter where I go.
I need help in every store I go to. Which aisle is this in?
Same. Yeah. But it'll look like you're around Christmas in the aisles.
Flashing.
So look at the bright side.
It's kind of a cool idea, though. Savannah, thank you.
Yeah. We are nearly a month into the new year, so now might be a good time to check on how those New Year's resolutions are coming along.
Yeah, that's right. According to the National Institutes of Health, it takes about 10 weeks to form a new habit. So you are about halfway there. That's some good news. But let's say you've fallen off track. Don't beat yourself up. Today, we are going to look at ways to help you bounce back.
Joining us now for more is Katie Horowitz. She's a mindset coach, author, and the founder of Woman Against Negative Talk. Good to have you with us. So we probably all know maybe the answer to this deep and down if we don't want to acknowledge it, though, which is why are the reasons we don't succeed, might be struggling right now with our resolution.
I mean, there are some that are surprising. I think one that might be a bit more obvious for people is a lack of clarity going into things, getting specific about what those goals are, but also we have to allow ourselves flexibility to be able to pivot, be able to recognize what our starting point is. And then something that people often forget is that January is like cozy hibernation month. And so oftentimes we can get swept up in sort of the energy of the New Year's, and we make goals because we think we're supposed to, when really what we want to do is hibernate and reflect and go a little easier on ourselves.
Just binge TV.
Yeah. I'm very much the mine kind of kick in the third week of January. You know,
Same.
I need a beat to deal with holiday recovery, all that kind of stuff. What can you do though to try to avoid negative feelings, negative self-talk if you have fallen off? Let's say you kind of really went for it and it's not working out so far. What should you do?
Yeah, if you're having that sort of oops or eek moment, I think recognizing that those feelings are normal feelings to have is so important. Giving yourself grace and space to move through those and not letting the feelings that you have about those feelings take over, the guilt, the shame. And then also this language around getting on and off the wagon. I think we hear that a lot in the new year, right? And I like to get rid of the wagon altogether. Your life is the wagon.
No one uses a wagon anymore.
Yeah, you are on a journey. So recognizing that your life is going to have high highs, low lows, and setting yourself up for success for those to sort of pre-plan, okay, how am I going to pivot? How am I going to work in flexibility? That can be really helpful in those moments where you feel like I might as well just give up.
So what is, if you are struggling right now and you're at the end of January and you're thinking, oh, I failed at my resolutions, how do you get back on track? What's your best advice for that?
I love following the feeling. So getting back to the why of not just why did I set out to make these goals in the first place, but why do I want this in my life? How do I want to feel after my goals? Success is great because it's subjective. We get to define it for ourselves. So also getting really clear on what do my success markers look like, right? Because it can get really easy to get wrapped up in other people's success markers. So following the feeling, getting back to the why, and then being proactive, not reactive in those moments where you feel like maybe you're faltering a little is key to set yourself up for long-term success.
I also feel like it's helpful for me to remember that we kind of just made this up. There's no reason that January 1st is your whole life has to change.
Yes. I mean, right now, like I said, we are in a season that is more conducive to a little bit more ease and hibernation. So if springtime is a time that feels really good to set goals, doing like what you said, taking this moment to reflect and be easy on yourself and take in the world can really, really help you give that self-compassion to yourself that so many of us say that we want to have.
Yeah.
Great perspective to have. And
love it.
Groundhog Day, how about that? That's coming up.
That's when your resolutions
Make your
kick
resolutions
off.
kick off on Groundhog Day.
We'll check in then.
Only if Puxatawny Phil doesn't see.
Yeah.
Right. Katie Horowitz, thank you so much. That was great. We appreciate having you on.
Thank you so much.
Coming up, a California veteran who survived the Pearl Harbor attack celebrating his 100th birthday.
Yeah, the family and friends who showed up to make the day extra special. That is up next.
Waiting 40 years for this. They called themselves Ghostbusters.
There you see it. The trailer for the new Ghostbusters movie is out, and it features some familiar faces from the 1984 original. Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, and Annie Potts are all back in action, as is everyone's favorite mean green ghost, Slimer. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire follows from 2021's Ghostbusters Afterlife and also features cast members from that movie, including Paul Rudd and Carrie Coon. The story sees New York City covered in ice by an evil force. You can watch it all unravel in theaters March 22nd.
How exciting is that? Thank you, Joe.
Yep.
Well, finally this hour, a birthday celebration, a century in the making. Over the weekend, dozens of people gathered in California to celebrate the 100th birthday of a Pearl Harbor attack survivor. And as NBC News correspondent Ellison Barber explains, it was a day he will never forget.
The bombs blast, the cannons roar, the sights and sounds of battle.
For Chuck Kohler, turning 100 was a birthday for the history books.
This is wonderful. Oh, my goodness gracious. I don't think many people get to experience something like this.
Kohler, a U.S. Navy veteran who survived the 1941 attack on Pearl Harbor, celebrating his special day with over 100 friends and relatives who gathered to mark the milestone.
I've been involved in a lot of things during my life, and, but this is maybe the most exciting and pleasing that I've had. We all gave some, and some gave all.
Kohler remembering the day when over 2,400 of his fellow shipmates, comrades, lost their lives at war. At the time, he was just 17 years old. He says he feels lucky to be celebrating a century, and he feels touched by the recognition.
All of these people, who knows where all they've came from, because of me, to wish me a happy birthday, I'll never, ever forget it.
Now a great-grandfather, Kohler sharing some words of advice for those hoping to see their own 100th birthday.
Don't worry about taking. Always be trying to give. Works real good. It has for me, anyway. It's been a great, rewarding life, But the more you put into it, the more you can expect to get back.
What a message.
No kidding.
What
And
a
Chuck
man.
is not aging like milk. He looks fantastic. So good for Chuck. Happy birthday.
Yes, really. And our thanks to Ellison Barber. What an incredible story.
That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Well, stay with us because the news continues right now. Good morning. Thanks for joining us this Tuesday. I'm Savannah Sellers.
I'm Joe Fryer. Right now on Morning News Now, we are starting in the Middle East, where new details are emerging about 3 U.S. soldiers killed in a drone strike in Jordan over the weekend. U.S. officials now speaking out on what could have gone wrong. We've got the latest as some lawmakers on Capitol Hill press President Biden for congressional approval before he uses military force. Back home, America's border crisis is escalating. Today, House Republicans expected to introduce new measures to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. The move comes as a bipartisan group of lawmakers race to piece together a spending package that would give President Biden more control over the border. We're going to bring you the latest from Washington as the future of that legislation becomes more and more uncertain. Also this morning, a South Carolina judge slamming the door shut on convicted killer Alec Murdoch's request for a retrial. We're going to take you inside the courtroom and behind that decision. Plus, later in the hour, the game-changing possibility of vaccines against cancer. Now closer than ever, the patients who are already benefiting, and how our very own Kristen Dahlgren is playing a part in bringing groundbreaking researchers together. Looking forward to that story from our friend Kristen. We're going to begin this hour with that deadly drone attack in Jordan that killed 3 U.S. soldiers, injured dozens more troops, an attack the U.S. blames on Iran-backed militias.
This morning, we are hearing from the families of those killed in the attack as questions mount about how it happened and how the U.S. should respond. NBC's chief international correspondent Keir Simmons has more from northern Iraq.
Hey there, good day to you. Local media here reports that Iranian-backed militia along the border between Iraq and Syria are already evacuating installations in anticipation of a potential U.S. strike. Secretary of State Antony Blinken not signaling when such a strike might come, but saying that it would be potentially multi-leveled, come in stages and sustained over time. Also saying he believes the situation in this region is the most dangerous it's been for decades. This morning, questions over how a drone laden with explosives evaded defenses on this American base in Jordan and what the U.S. response should be. The family of 23-year-old specialist Brianna Alexandria Moffett from Georgia, one of 3 killed on the base known as Tower 22, speaking to NBC News.
We will like to know what happened and how could this happen?
It's the first time American servicemen and women have been killed by what the US says was an Iranian-backed militia since the war in Gaza began. Despite waves of attacks, Iran insists it did not direct the drone attack, but it appeared to be relatively sophisticated, flying low, possibly tricking the base's defenses by flying in at the same time as an American drone, according to Pentagon officials. The service members' families now grieving.
If we knew what we know now, we would have just said, I love you so much. Just make sure that she knew that she wasn't alone, and that we love her.
Yes. 46-year-old Sergeant William Jerome Rivers was from New Jersey, and Specialist Kennedy LaDon Sanders, who was 24, was from Georgia.
She's always very liked by everyone. She's a dedicated friend, teammate. She was just well liked and a very joyful, bright personality.
The president vowing a response. The US could decide to strike Iranian-linked groups or commanders in the region, or send a stronger message with a strike on Iran itself. The Biden administration under pressure.
Stuart, I think it's important to go after Iran, and it's because they're behind all of these attacks.
Amid calls to avoid an escalation that might pull the US into a wider war.
We do not seek war with Iran, but we have and we will continue to defend our personnel.
The challenge for the Biden administration is that so far nothing has seemed to work. Remember that the US has launched 8 airstrikes against Iranian-backed militia in Iraq and Syria, a similar amount against Houthi rebels in Yemen, and yet the attacks keep coming. Now, analysts are talking about potentially striking Iran's weapon production facilities, perhaps naval assets, perhaps intelligence systems. The question the Biden administration will be weighing up is whether you can escalate with Iran in order to de-escalate without slipping into a full-scale war. We're not close to that, but that is the kind of calculations that the US government is going to be worrying about.
All right, Kirsten Mintz, thank you so much.
And this morning, there is progress in negotiations for the release of the Israeli hostages in Gaza. Officials from Israel, Egypt, the U.S. and Qatar have created the framework for a deal that would involve a 60-day pause in fighting in Gaza. That's according to a source familiar with the talks. NBC News foreign correspondent Matt Bradley joins us now from Tel Aviv with the latest on that. Matt, good morning.
Good morning, Joe. So Israeli officials are urging caution around these negotiations, but hostages' families are hoping this could be a breakthrough. Hamas said this morning that they have received this offer. Today, a deal to free the remaining hostages in Gaza coming into focus. Representatives from Israel, Egypt, the U.S. and Qatar reached a unified position yesterday to free more than 100 hostages, 6 of them Americans. A draft has been given to Hamas. The deal would impose a 60-day temporary truce in the Gaza Strip, while Hamas would release 1 Israeli hostage in exchange for every 3 Palestinian prisoners, according to people with knowledge of the discussions. And it would allow more humanitarian aid into Gaza. Hostage families worry their relatives won't survive long enough to see freedom.
Every day that it's passing by, it's dangerous for them.
It comes as the war continues to spread. This morning, dramatic video from the West Bank where Israel says it raided a hospital to take out a Hamas terror cell. 3 Palestinians were killed. Meanwhile, controversy deepens around UNRWA, the main UN agency in Gaza. At least 14 countries have halted funding after Israel accused 12 of its Gazan employees of taking part in or aiding Hamas's October 7 terror attacks. 2 Israeli intelligence dossiers reviewed by NBC News accusing some staff of kidnapping hostages and procuring weapons for Hamas. Israel now saying 10% of the agency's staff belong to Hamas or Palestinian Islamic Jihad. Without financing, UNRWA says it may need to stop providing services to Palestinians across the Middle East as soon as next month.
I do think it's important to remember that UNRWA does important work, and we shouldn't impugn the good work of a whole agency because of the terrible allegations.
Certainly not, but does that create a trust issue and a credibility issue there?
Well, it could very well, depending on what the investigation finds.
And now we're hearing that the spokesman for the Prime Minister's office says that he's going to be hosting a press conference this afternoon to try to lay out those accusations against UNRWA in more detail. Joe?
All right, Matt, thank you.
Well, on Capitol Hill today, House Republicans are pushing ahead with an effort to impeach Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas, the top Biden administration official in charge of overseeing the border. It comes as a bipartisan group of lawmakers are preparing to unveil new legislation. NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles is covering this all for us this morning. Hi, Ryan. Good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning. And later this morning, Republicans will take the first step towards something Congress hasn't done in more than 150 years, impeaching a sitting cabinet secretary. It all comes just as bipartisan negotiators are set to release the legislation aimed at calming the border crisis.
It is a building problem more than 1,700 miles away from the U.S. Capitol. Migrants entering the United States at a record clip, leading to overworked border guards, a system at a breaking point, and human lives in the balance. In Eagle Pass, Texas, a young migrant girl attempting to cross into the United States through the Rio Grande River, caught in the current and forced to be rescued. Back on Capitol Hill, Republicans are putting the blame squarely on the Biden administration.
Joe Biden has turned every community into a border community with his failed policies.
So much so that today they'll move articles of impeachment against Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, accusing him of willful and systemic refusal to comply with the law and a breach of the public trust. Democrats argue this move is nothing more than a political stunt.
The House Republicans have clearly turned their ever-shrinking majority over to the extremists. And this sham impeachment of Secretary Mayorkas is just another sad example.
It comes as a bipartisan group of senators are working to hash out a deal to give President Biden more authority to regulate border crossings. This after a record number of migrants came into the country in December. More than 370,000 overall, with nearly 250,000 illegal crossings at the southern border alone.
If that bill were the law today, I'd shut down the border right now and fix it quickly.
But while Republicans have been pushing for changes, their de facto party leader, Donald Trump, is undermining the negotiations before the bill is even released.
Hey, please blame it on me, please, because they were getting ready to pass a very bad bill.
Leading to another partisan immigration showdown in Washington, while the crisis at the border continues to escalate.
And this morning, Secretary Mayorkas is responding directly to the push to impeach him. He sent a 7-page letter to the committee where he calls the charges against him baseless and false. Savannah?
All right, Ryan Nobles, thank you so much.
Today, Alec Murdoch is back in a South Carolina prison after a judge denied his request for a retrial in the murders of his wife and son. Murdoch and his lawyers allege that a court clerk tampered with the jury and influenced their decision to find him guilty. But the judge says the defense failed to prove that. NBC News correspondent Sam Brock joins us now from outside the courthouse with the latest on this. Sam, good morning.
Joe, good morning. This was 8 hours yesterday of I cannot believe what I just saw. The judge in this case said the clerk at the heart of those tampering allegations was not a credible witness. She tore apart her testimony on the stand. And in fact, Becky Hill's own story was contradicted by jurors, by friends, even by her own emails. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the judge decided she didn't think that changed any of the outcome here, and she denied the retrial.
Did Clerk of Court Hill's comments have any impact on the verdict of the jury? I find that the answer to this question is no.
The most sensational trial in South Carolina history has finally been put to bed, at least for now. Monday's dramatic ruling and rejection of Alec Murdoch's motion for a retrial following his double murder conviction for the killing of his wife and youngest son featured a host of twists, turns, and contradictions on the stand for Clerk of Court Becky Hill.
I did not have a conversation with any juror about anything related to this case.
Was your verdict on March the 2nd, 2023, in any way with any influenced in any way with any communications by the Clerk of Court Becky Hill in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
And how was it influenced?
To me, it felt like she made it seem like he was already guilty.
That bombshell coming from a woman named Juror Z, though she was the only one of 12 jurors to say Hill actually influenced her vote. And even then, her sworn affidavit from August said, I had questions about Mr. Murdaugh's guilt, but voted guilty because I felt pressured by the other jurors, making no mention of Hill, who is currently under investigation by the state for alleged interactions with the jury and using her office for personal gain.
It's possible that she may have broken jury tampering laws, but far more likely, she violated her known duty to not interfere with the deliberations of the jurors.
The proceedings also highlighted Hill's book, Behind the Doors of Justice, which also proved a tale of two stories.
How much money did you make off that book?
Roughly around $100,000.
Guilty would sell more books.
She said we might want to write a book because she needed a lake house and I needed to retire. And then further conversations, a guilty verdict would sell more books.
In the end, the judge concluding that Hill didn't change the outcome, but did cross a line.
I find that the clerk of court is not completely credible as a witness. Ms. Hill was attracted by the siren call of celebrity.
And not surprisingly, Joe, the Murdaugh legal team saying they're going to appeal this right away to the Court of Appeals, then the state Supreme Court. If that doesn't work, and then the federal courts, that could take a matter of years when all is said and told. They also said they do feel vindicated to a degree that it was shown Becky Hill was acting improperly, but this could be an uphill climb. As the judge did say yesterday, she read every single word of that 6-week-long murder trial transcript and came to the same conclusion the jury made the right decision. Joe, back to you.
All right, Sam, thank you.
NBC News Now legal analyst Angela Sanadella joins us now for more on this. Always great to have you. Thanks for being here. So let's talk about just how critical the judge was there of the clerk, and then could this impact future jury tampering cases?
The judge was extraordinarily critical. I mean, not like something I haven't really even seen before. I almost thought that she brought up evidence that she was not even allowing the prosecutors or the defense team to bring up. She just kept going after Becky Hill, almost trying to get her to say on the stand, I totally lied, I made everything up. So it was crazy. Now, in terms of the future of jury tampering, I do think this still sends a message that you could possibly get in trouble.
Right.
I think the standard for every jurisdiction is different here. This judge set her own, and so we'll see what different jurisdictions say.
The siren call of celebrity. It is alluring.
Quite a way to put it.
Let's break this down, because really they only needed to find that one of the 12 jurors was really swayed by this clerk, was prejudiced by this clerk to really get a new trial. And there was one juror, Juror Z, who said Hill actually influenced her vote, and then later said her fellow jurors influenced her more. Could that have been enough for a retrial? Why wasn't it enough?
Well, it's possible that could be brought up in appeal, but I think Juror Z's testimony is actually what ended up saving Becky Hill and possibly saving the conviction. And that's because, as you said, she did say she was influenced, but ultimately what influenced her the most was the jury. And that is what's supposed to happen in a jury, by the way. The jurors are supposed to influence each other. Had she said on that stand that Becky Hill had made her change her verdict, perhaps that would have been enough. But the judge did set a high bar.
You mentioned the potential of an appeal. I mean, could we see this in court again?
Well, definitely the appeal. I don't know if we'll see the whole trial again, but for sure, as his lawyer said, because there's not a lot of precedent in the state of South Carolina for what the standard is in a case like this. The judge said it has to be evidence that really changed a juror's mind. So that is a high bar, and we'll likely see that standard appealed at the appellate court and the state Supreme Court.
Angela Sanadella, we appreciate you as always. Thank you so much.
We have much more to come on this hour of Morning News Now, including the dollars and cents behind the so-called Taylor Swift effect that's now taking the NFL by storm just days before the Super Bowl.
But first, jacked in, Elon Musk's Neuralink brain chip reportedly successfully implanted in a human for the first time. But what exactly does it do, and what role could it play in humanity's future? We have answers up next.
Welcome back. Elon Musk has announced a big step toward his goal of connecting human brains to computers.
He revealed that his brain science startup company has already implanted a device in a human brain for the first time. NBC News correspondent Emily Aketa joins us now with more on this super interesting one. Hi, Emily. Good morning.
Guys, good morning to you. This will get people talking. This procedure feels very futuristic and was no small feat, using a robot to surgically place a computer chip into a human brain. Elon Musk calling his company's product telepathy.
This morning, a brain chip has been successfully implanted in a human, according to Elon Musk. The tech titan sharing a big breakthrough from his brain science startup company, Neuralink, saying it has implanted a device in a human for the first time, a possible step toward a product that Musk says enables control of your phone or computer and through them almost any device just by thinking.
Imagine the joy of connecting with your loved ones, browsing the web, or even playing games using only your thoughts.
Musk posting Monday, the first human received an implant from Neuralink yesterday and is recovering well. The initial results, he added, showed promising neuron spike detection. But Musk gave no additional details about the procedure, the patient, or the device the company implanted. Musk writing initial users will be those who have lost the use of their limbs, discussing his vision for Neuralink back in 2019.
This, I think, has a very good purpose, which is to cure important diseases. And ultimately to help secure humanity's future as a civilization.
For decades, scientists have worked on similar ideas for brain-computer interfaces. But for many, a microchip in the brain feels like something out of a movie. Like 2015's Kingsman: The Secret Service, where Samuel L. Jackson plays an eccentric billionaire who tries to control the world using neural implants.
Mankind is the virus, and I'm the cure.
As science fiction gets closer to reality, Musk is hoping a groundbreaking experimental device can help transform everyday lives.
As for Neuralink's future, the clinical trial is just one step on the startup's path to commercialization, and testing will still take about 6 years to complete. Several companies have tested brain implants on humans, driving questions and some concerns around safety, regulation, and where this technology could go. I should note we have reached out to Neuralink for more information on the procedure, but have not heard back.
Lots of questions about this one, but
Absolutely.
Lots of fascination, too.
It will get people talking.
No kidding. All right,
Yeah,
Emily,
for real.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. All right, from the west to Midwest, we could be seeing some record high temperatures this week. For more, let's get a check on your morning News Now weather forecast.
Meteorologist Angie Lastman's here with the impressive numbers. Angie, good morning.
Good morning, guys. You're exactly right about that. Yesterday, we saw record highs across parts of the West, places like San Francisco into the 70s, and we've got more where that comes from as we go through the next couple of days. We are also tracking a couple of different storm systems. I'll get to those here in a moment. Meanwhile, we're expected to hit those mid-60s in Denver today, running 20 degrees above normal for this time of year, into the 70s for Las Vegas, Dodge City, Oklahoma City, all going to end up into the mid-60s. And even as far north as Minneapolis, running nearly 20 degrees above normal. That warmth continues into tomorrow. We could potentially see some of these record-breaking temperatures once again. Look at Minneapolis's temperature as we get into tomorrow, 57 degrees. As we get into the afternoon hours, running more than 30 degrees above normal for this time of year. So yes, it is going to be feeling more like spring than late January across much of this region. We eventually do turn cooler. Temperatures dropping from the 40s in Cleveland. By Friday and Saturday, we get back into the upper 30s. So not a huge drop. Even in Chicago, we'll go from the 50s to the low 40s, but we'll just get a little closer to where we should be for this time of year. Meanwhile, I mentioned we have those couple of storm systems. We have one little quick moving kind of system that's going to work across parts of the Great Lakes. It'll leave you with some slick spots on the roads here as we got through the day today in places like Michigan stretching south. That's going to be one thing we watch. And then out west, we've got another storm system, an atmospheric river event that's gearing up to bring us a good amount of rain here over the next couple of days. Here's the deal. Right now, sitting offshore, this morning, we're going to start to see it work a little closer to shore. And then notice what happens by tomorrow. We're going to see this moisture making a beeline, basically from Hawaii to California. We call that the Pineapple Express. Cute little term there for meteorologists. But either way, this atmospheric river event is expected to be moderate to strong for parts of California. And if you look up to the Pacific Northwest, places like Seattle, Portland, that'll be strong to extreme. So what does that mean? It means that we're going to have a potential to see a whole lot of rain that leaves us with some flood concerns. And we've already got the alerts to prove it. Flood watches up for parts of this region, extending across much of California. We've got 11 million people under these alerts. And notice in the blue, we already have winter storm watches because, yes, strong winds and snow are going to be impacting folks in this region as well. Here's how it plays out. This is today. Notice we're just looking at a little bit of some shower activity across the Pacific Northwest. west. But we really start to see that system gearing up as we get into the overnight hours tonight. It gets a little closer to the coast, and eventually the heavy rain is stretched across basically the Bay Area all the way up into Eureka. That's where we'll see that greatest flood concern tomorrow, too. But soaking rain across much of Northern California. So heads up there. It does work into portions of Southern California as we get later into the work week. By Thursday, we'll also see additional snow and those high winds that I spoke about across parts of the Sierra Nevada mountains. That's going to be problematic for travel, of course, making it really slick and difficult on those roads. All of that rain starts to work a little farther to the east here as we get through the end of our work week. When it's all said and done, isolated amounts up to 6 inches. Of course, it doesn't take much to see flooding across this region, so that'll be something that we'll have to watch for. But notice the bigger picture, kind of more widespread amounts, 1 to 3 inches. Again, the flooding concern, though, will be there, so reminding folks not to drive through those flooded roadways. And then if you're hoping for some snow, we could get some. I mean, it hasn't been a great year out there for snow in this region, but either way, in those higher elevations closer to the mountain peaks, we could see the potential for over 3 feet of snow. We'll also have the stronger winds on top of this, and a little farther to the east across portions of Nevada, we'll get anywhere from 1 inch to 6 inches in some of those isolated spots. So a little snow on the way, guys, after a really warm stretch here over the next couple of days with potentially record highs. So we've got it all for January.
No kidding. All right. Thank you, Angie.
Thank you. Coming up, both Princess Kate and King Charles are back at home this morning after a pair of hospital stays that made global headlines.
After the break, the latest on their conditions as they take time to recuperate out of the public eye. Stay with us.
We are back with an update on the British royal family. Today, King Charles and Princess Kate are recovering after being released from a private clinic in London. The princess underwent abdominal surgery earlier this month, while the king was treated for an enlarged prostate. And with his wife and father sidelined, Prince William is expected to take on more responsibility. NBC News foreign correspondent Molly Hunter joins us from London with the latest on all of this. Molly, good morning.
Savannah, good morning to you. That is the good news that I come bearing from Buckingham Palace. Just up the road from me at the London clinic, both King Charles and the Princess of Wales were released yesterday. Kensington Palace, though, really didn't provide us any more additional details about Kate's condition. We didn't see her yesterday, and we may not see her for months.
This morning, 2 royals back at home. After 3 nights in the hospital, King Charles walked out the front door, waving to the crowds, Queen Camilla by his side as the 75-year-old monarch left the London clinic Monday after routine prostate treatment. Meanwhile, daughter-in-law Kate, the Princess of Wales, spent 13 nights in the same hospital, discharged privately yesterday. Kensington Palace says she'll continue to recover back home in Windsor, and she is making good progress.
The announcement about the King's surgery and the Princess of Wales surgery came on the same day. 2 weeks later, the departure is probably a bit of a mixture of coincidence and strategy. The King was able to take some of the focus and attention away from the Princess of Wales.
Kensington Palace still staying mum about Kate's health condition and her planned abdominal surgery, and said earlier she would remain out of the public eye until after Easter. Charles will also take time for private recuperation, which leaves Prince William shouldering the brunt of upcoming royal appearances.
From William's point of view, he is trying to show the world that, yes, he's a working royal and a future king, but he's also a father and a husband.
Kate and William had a packed few months ahead, including February's glamorous British Film Awards. The 42-year-old has stunned the red carpet year after year. And the pair were also likely to travel internationally this spring, but Kensington Palace has said that's out of the question. And in early March, the Commonwealth Day service was always a chance to see the family and one of Britain's most popular royals.
Now, Savannah, in both the statements from Buckingham Palace and Kensington Palace, King Charles and Kate thanked the hospital staff and the nurses. And as we mentioned, as Kate continues her recovery, we know that Prince William will both want to be by her side, also, of course, with their 3 children. But we will probably start to see him out there flying the flag alone for the senior working royals. Savannah?
All right, Molly Hunter, thank you so much.
More international news now, starting in Japan, where some residents have filed a lawsuit against authorities over allegations of racial profiling.
Claudio Lavanga joins us from Rome with that and more. Hey, Claudio, good morning.
Savannah Joe, good morning. Well, that's right. The Japanese public broadcaster NHK is reporting that 3 foreign-born residents of Tokyo are suing Japan for racial profiling. Now, the 3 plaintiffs allege they were questioned repeatedly by police on the basis of their race, skin color, and nationality, and are seeking 3 million yen, about $20,000, in compensation each. One of them was born in India and lived in Japan for more than 20 years. He says he's been repeatedly stopped and questioned by police officers on the street, sometimes twice a day. The other plaintiffs, born in Pakistan and in the U.S., say they suffered similar discrimination. Now let's go to Northern Ireland now, where the Democratic Unionist Party has agreed to end a boycott that left the region's people without a power-sharing administration for 2 years. The DUP walked out in February 2022 in a dispute over post-Brexit trade rules that imposed custom checks on goods moving to Northern Ireland from the rest of the UK. It has since refused to return to the government, leaving people in Northern Ireland without a functioning administration. The breakthrough came after the UK government last week gave Northern Ireland politicians until February the 8th to restore the collapsed government in Belfast or face new elections. And let's end this tour of the world in Peru, where a surfing instructor is making waves in the world of dog training by, well, surfing with his Jack Russell Terrier. Mauro Canella can be seen most weekends surfing the waves of San Bartolo with his dog, Efrus, standing firmly on the surfboard with him. He says the techniques he uses to teach humans work equally well on dogs. Well, I can try to teach the technique to my dog Django, but so far he's proved to be a champion in couch surfing instead. Back to you guys.
I'm with him.
That was really funny, Claudio. Thank you very much.
There is a debate raging right now in Mexico City over bullfighting. Hundreds of protesters showed up at the world's largest arena on Sunday after the country's Supreme Court lifted a ban on the sport. Opponents argue bullfighting is animal cruelty, while others say it's important to Mexican culture. NBC News correspondent Stephen Romo has more on the growing pushback.
After nearly 2 years, bullfighting is back in Mexico City. But outside the arena, an equally intense battle. This protester is saying bullfighting normalizes violence, adding that it's slaughter for recreation. Despite the masses gathered in opposition, Plaza Mexico, the largest bullfighting arena in the world with 41,000 seats, opening its doors once more on Sunday after the Mexican Supreme Court temporarily lifted a 2022 bullfighting ban in Mexico City. The arena's director hopeful they'll be able to celebrate bullfights for many years to come. While the Supreme Court did not explain its reasoning for lifting the ban, it originally cited that the fights violated the right to an environment free from violence. This Mexico City congressman surprised at the outcome, but committed to making bullfights illegal in the capital city again. But not all Mexicans feel this way. One spectator saying her father raised bulls and gave them an excellent life. In fact, bullfights are still federally legal in the country, and many groups, like this one, hosting events and training sessions meant to inspire the next generation of bullfighting aficionados. This aspiring bullfighter says he dreams of hearing the meaningful ole that's offered in Mexico. But tensions over this centuries-old tradition not just happening in Mexico.
Stop less bullfighting.
In Rome, protesters with the organization PETA interrupting a prayer service led by Pope Francis. While months earlier, animal activists at the Vatican holding a silent protest, accusing the Catholic Church of condoning the practice. Across the globe, around 250,000 bulls die each year during bullfights, according to the Humane Society International. A tradition originating in Spain, it's still practiced in 8 countries. A push to outlaw the practice in Colombia last year, not making it out of Congress. The Mexican president saying he'd explore the possibility of a referendum on the capital city's bullfighting ban, but hasn't made solid plans. Until then, Mexico City grappling with changing times and honoring its heritage.
Our thanks to Stephen Romo for that report.
Coming up, it is National Plan for Vacation Day. But why is it that that's a thing?
Well, a recent study showed fewer than half of workers take less time off than their employer allows. Why is that, and why is now a good time to book your next trip? We've got some answers next. Welcome back. As primary season gets underway, there are growing concerns over how artificial intelligence could impact this year's election. NBC Nightly News anchor Lester Holt discussed the issue in an exclusive interview with the CEO of Microsoft, Satya Nadella. Here's part of that conversation.
We're marching down the road to the first AI election. Are you holding your breath as to see how AI can help and how it may be weaponized?
In fact, it goes back again. This is not the first election where we dealt with disinformation or propaganda campaigns by adversaries and election interference and all of those things. So therefore, I think what we have to go back again is, for example, I think we are doing all the work across the tech industry around watermarking, detecting deep fakes and content IDs. There's going to be enough and more technology, quite frankly, in order to be able to identify the issues around disinformation and misinformation. Then the question again comes back to how do we build consensus between parties, candidates, and the norms around what is acceptable, not acceptable.
That was Lester Holt speaking with CEO of Microsoft, Satya Nadella, and you can catch more of that exclusive interview tonight at 6:30 p.m. Eastern on NBC Nightly News.
Now let's get to some financial headlines. Tech giant IBM wants its managers back in office or else.
CNBC's Silvana Henao joined us with that and other money news. Silvana, good morning.
Joe, Savannah, good morning to you. Yes, so IBM has delivered an ultimatum to employees who are still working remotely. Move closer to the office or leave the company. Bloomberg reports in a memo sent earlier this month, all managers must immediately report to an office or client location at least 3 days a week. Badges will be used to track their presence in the office. Those who are working remotely, with few exceptions, and who don't live close enough to commute must relocate by the end of July. IBM's CEO has long touted the importance of in-person work. Microsoft is calling Apple's new App Store rules a step in the wrong direction. Apple has proposed a plan to comply with the European Union's tech regulations known as the Digital Markets Act. It will require developers using third-party app stores to pay a fee for each installation above 1 million downloads. Microsoft joins Epic Games and Spotify in criticizing the plan. Spotify accusing Apple of extortion with the new App Store tax. And Toyota retains the crown as the world's top-selling automaker. The company's selling a record 11.2 million vehicles worldwide last year. Japan, North America, and Europe leading the growth in sales despite a drop in China. And Toyota also making headlines this morning after issuing a do not drive advisory covering some 2003 to 2004 model year Corolla and Corolla Matrix and 2004 to 2005 RAV4s with Takata airbag inflators because an airbag inflator could explode and potentially kill motorists. About 50,000 vehicles are affected, guys.
Wow. All right. Important consumer information there. Silvana, thank you so much.
If you don't use all of your time off from work, you're not alone.
Yeah, according to a study from the Pew Research Center, more than 4 in 10 workers who get paid days off say they take less time than their employer allows. So the last Tuesday in January, that's today, it's been designated National Plan for Vacation Day. This is to encourage employees to use their PTO and plan that trip.
Joining us now for more on this is travel reporter Davy Sutton. Good to have you with us. So let's start with some of the reasons people are not using all of their vacation time.
Why are we doing that?
And why is this such a problem?
Well, one of the top reasons is that people think they can't afford it. Another is family obligations. But the number one reason is that people think that they're going to be replaced from their jobs.
Wow.
And so people don't take their vacations. So that's why the U.S. Travel Association came up with and then the entire travel industry followed suit with National Plan for Vacation Day.
I love this. What a great national day to think about.
But people really think they're going to go to Hawaii and come back and someone's sitting at their desk? Is that
pre-pandemic, I don't know. But we know about the great replacement, Tom Brady, who was a replacement.
I feel like it's more like over time, right? Like you're like, am I going to be the person that everybody thinks I'm always on vacation if I take my, 2 weeks or whatever? Maybe it's kind of like longer term like that.
That's exactly right. And that research said that if people have 2 weeks, they will leave 5 days on the table. So people really aren't, utilizing their vacation. And, you can do those like taking a Friday off and have 3 days away. So there are ways to manage to take your time off.
Absolutely. Also, why is this the best time to plan for a trip? Especially, we just got through holidays, that kind of thing. A lot of people probably were all over the place recently. So why plan now?
Yeah. And, savvy travelers know that this is a good time because it's all about supply and demand. So people aren't thinking about going on vacation.
We
so
just told them.
You can get a deal. Yeah. It's between us. Right? But you can find the deals. So the discounts and the entire travel industry is, you can find some deals. Right now, in particular, it is wave season. And that's when the cruises are on sale. So people know to book their cruises in advance, even up to a year in advance. You can find discounts and incentives. Airlines are having sales and some of the major hotel brands as well. Just go to their websites and look for the discounts and the coupons.
For those who have now been inspired to plan a vacation because they know they won't be replaced if they leave for a few days, what are the top travel trends right now?
So one of the trends is a destination dupe. So we know that crowds can make your vacation unfun, right? So I'm going to give you a cool idea. So we know the Grand Canyon in Arizona is on so many people's bucket list, but it is one of the most popular destinations in the U.S. Consider Palo Duro Canyon. That is the second largest canyon in the U.S. and so many people don't know about it. It's in the Texas Panhandle and near Amarillo. It gives you all the same vibes. Like it has those red rocks. It has, you can camp, you can hike. And what is different than the Grand Canyon is you can drive through this canyon.
Oh, wow.
And so this is a vacation dupe. Another example is Orlando. So we know that this is the busiest destination in the U.S. is Orlando. More than 60 million people go there a year. And we know why. It's the mouse and his friends and the other big theme parks. So beyond the theme parks, you can add onto your vacation in a few days and go to places like the Kennedy Space Center. They have a park there that I never knew. Right. And then they also have Ripley's Believe It or Not. And Orlando is also a growing foodie destination. They have Michelin star restaurants.
So there's other things you can do there.
Other things you can do.
All right, Davy Sutton, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Yes, go plan that vacation.
All right. Love it. Coming up, a critical scientific collaboration that's giving some breast cancer patients a dose of hope.
It's incredible. After the break, the vaccine redefining how the disease is treated and the passionate researchers behind it. That is next on Morning News Now. Well, this morning we are looking at a unique moment, really a potential turning point in the fight against breast cancer. Many researchers say they think cancer vaccines could be a reality in the not too distant future.
And thanks in part to our own Kristen Dahlgren, those researchers are coming together to collaborate and hopefully find the key to saving thousands of lives. And Kristen joins us now with what is, I don't even think Passion Project puts it, it says enough.
I'm just bubbling with this. It really is close, and this is big, guys. So as a breast cancer survivor, I'm excited about the prospect of my own body fighting off a cancer recurrence, or a day my little girl could be protected from ever having to go down this road. So when I realized there might be a way that I could actually help the process, I was all in. This morning, I am so thrilled to introduce you to Pink Eraser Project. It's definitely been the hardest thing I've ever been through.
On my journey as an NBC correspondent going through breast cancer, I've met a lot of amazing women.
Create the world that you want to see, so that I did.
But none who have given me more hope than Dr. Nora Desis, lead researcher at UW Medicine's Cancer Vaccine Institute.
Can you imagine a world where no one would die of breast cancer because of a vaccine?
The time is now.
The time is now.
Developing a vaccine is her life's work. In 2013, Desus and her team made a breakthrough in a vaccine for a type of breast cancer called HER2 positive. 66 women with advanced stage breast cancer were treated with the vaccine, including Bridget Hempstead, whose cancer had spread to her lungs and liver.
Oncologist said, well, you're not going to live a year.
Instead of going home to die, she reached out to get into the vaccine trial. And now, more than a decade later,
cancers are leaving and they're going away, they're disappearing, and so
your cancer is disappearing.
Yeah.
Hempstead does get additional treatment, but she credits the vaccine for an extra decade of life with her family, including a recent highlight, singing the national anthem at the Seahawks-Cowboys game. Of the trial participants who got the ideal vaccine dose, 80% were still alive at the 10-year mark. The median survival rate for stage 4 HER2 positive is only 5 years. Desus and her team are now working on a cutting-edge breast cancer vaccine that attacks cancer stem cells.
The pieces are there, and the understanding of the immune system is there. What we really need is to be able to evaluate these vaccines in a very uniform manner with a lot of eyes looking at the data coming out of these trials.
Enter Michelle Young, a stage 4 survivor and advocate I met during an interview on her work to mandate effective screening for everyone covered by insurance.
Mammography, even though wonderful for many women, is not the end-all or be-all.
Young had an idea. What if we brought all the researchers together and helped fund, educate, and accelerate the breast cancer vaccine trials? The Pink Eraser Project was born, and in short order, doctors from 6 of the nation's top cancer centers joined our collaboration.
I am definitely encouraged. We need large studies, and that's why we need collaboration, so we can do the big studies that will prove what works.
Jenny Davis was the first person in the world to get Cleveland Clinic's phase 1 trial of a breast cancer vaccine for triple-negative cancer, known as the hardest to treat, with high rates of recurrence.
I wanted to see my kids grow into adults and, get married and have kids, and I was very scared.
She was thrilled when she qualified for the trial in 2019.
The only side effects I had were lumps at the injection site. That is it. Nothing else. The vaccine has taught my body to identify those cells and destroy them before they can become a tumor. It's given me hope for myself and my family, but with the vaccine, the bigger picture is not me. The bigger picture is what this could mean for breast cancer and research in general. It could change everything.
There is a lot of new science that more people are involved in the process. Something that would take 30 years could be done in a 5 to 10 year period of time. All it takes is awareness, enthusiasm, excitement, and that people know this exists.
And that's where I come in. Luckily, I'm good at telling people what exists out there. If I've learned anything in 30 years as a journalist, one person really can change the world. But this will, of course, go much quicker if everyone joins us. Let's face it, with 1 in 8 American women diagnosed in their lifetime, we all know someone with breast cancer. And that's why I've started Pink Eraser Project with this amazing group of scientists and doctors and survivors. I will be dedicating my life to this. Unfortunately, that means I have to leave my dream job here at NBC News, but I really feel called to do this, and I am so excited about the future.
We are, of course, going to miss you, but we can tell that you feel called to do this, and it's going to do so much good. And so it is hard to send you off, but we do so knowing we're going to be keeping track of you doing amazing things. This is obviously your focus on breast cancer, but this could really be vaccines for other cancers too, right?
Right. So there already are, there's melanoma vaccine. There are vaccines in development for other cancers. StemVac that I mentioned is in a lung cancer trial. And what they learn when it's shared and everybody's working together will really be accessible and able to help other researchers. And so, this could be used for other cancers. My dad was just diagnosed with cancer. And so you can be sure I'm not stopping with breast cancer. We're focused on that because it's a streamlined point A to point B that we can laser focus on. And I know for a lot of people, vaccines has become, kind of this bad word. And I just want to say this is not something that the government would ever mandate. Breast cancer is not an infectious disease. You can't catch it from me. But people who are at high risk or who already have the disease can choose to do this. And that's our hope that in the future they have that option.
Kristen Dahlgren, nearly 30 years at NBC News. We love you. What an incredible thing you're doing. We will miss you, but we will be in touch for sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kristen. It's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
But the news continues right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.